Hello, welcome to It's My Take. So, this is my take on short stories. And short stories are like those moments of life that we experience at any time, anywhere, anyhow. And we share them with a lot of people as well. And just some writers have this extra talent or gift to actually put that in writing so others can relate to it too as they share those moments in their lives. And short stories are kind of stories, and they can be fiction or non-fiction, and then there can be fictional stories based on non-fiction, and there are all different kinds of angles on these. So today, this is what I'm going to do: read you a short story from this book of Manas's Tales and Thrillers, a book of captivating short stories written by Manas Lioto. Very good writer. He used to write for Bharat Times. He wrote a lot of wonderful stories and other things, and I really love these stories. So, here's one of them: Away Back Home. Joe Malone pulled his coat and sat down on one of the steps that a few rain droplets. Joe Malone pulled his coat and sat down on one of the steps that a few rain droplets had already started to wet. He looked up at the gray sky and took a deep breath. It's quite chilly today, don't you think? Annetta didn't answer, as if she had never noticed his presence next to her. She kept on looking down, with her arms wrapped around her chest, like rocking slightly back and forth. Annetta, can you hear me? A short moment of silence went by, only interrupted by the light sound of sparse droplets falling on the ground. If you can hear me, listen. I'm a detective. I need to talk to you. Annetta kept the same posture, unmoved, rocking back and forth, lost in some other world. Joe Malone looked up again at the sky, wondering whether it was going to pour soon. Your family sent me, Annetta. It's been more than a year now. But they were all hoping that you might still be alive and wondering if you were okay. The rain droplets seemed to be coming down heavier, in greater number and faster too. Joe Malone wiped the raindrops from his forehead and looked at Annetta, who was wearing a rumpled, short-sleeved t-shirt and a washed-out jeans. Maybe you would like to go inside. You might get sick under the rain. In fact, I might get sick too. But it seems like you are stoned and can barely hear or understand me. So listen anyway. I'm going to help you up, and we're going to walk down the stairs and then toward the lodge where it's a bit more dry and warmer. Joe Malone carried Annetta in his arms to a chair inside the lodge of the park. As she could barely walk, she sat up and stared at him. Joe Malone stood there looking at her, trying to figure her out or sense through the scars, hairdo, clothes, demeanor, and all sorts of details that he could pick up: where the young woman had been, how she had lived, who she had been with, what has she been doing, etc. Annetta blinked and tried to get up, but then sat down on the wooden chair. I'm not stoned anymore. I just got them real bad. It takes me some time to get out of it. Joe Malone, somewhat relieved at hearing her finally talk, sat down next to her and looked for these photos he had been carrying in his wallet for a few months now. Your family never gave up, Annetta. They were convinced you were still somewhere out there. I know, I heard you before. The rain was now pouring loudly outside. As raindrops were hitting the large glass windows of the lodge, which was almost deserted, apart from a couple sitting silently absorbed by each other and the sight of the torrential rain. Across the lodge, there was also a mom who was helping her young daughter take off roller skates. They pleaded with me that I find you and bring you back, Annetta. They gave me these pictures of you. Annetta took the photos and smiled weakly while examining one of them. I was just a kid then. No wonder why it took that long to find me. Annetta, you remember that you had been kidnapped, don't you? Yes, then I finally managed to escape, but I didn't feel like going back home. Joe Malone nodded. Across the room, the mom had finished removing the roller skates of her daughter, who was now asking change with insistence for the soda vending machine. Annetta, I think that now the time is right to go back home. Your parents love you, and they made lots of sacrifices to find you, or at least know if they can bury you and mourn. You'd make them so happy just by letting them know that you're alive. I can't go back. I'm not their little kid anymore. Too many things have changed, she whispered through her sobs. Annetta, your parents love you dearly. That's all that counts. Why worry about anything else? They just love you and wish to know who you are, whether you're alive, if you're okay. That's all. How can you deny them that? Annetta didn't answer. She kept her head down, crying silently as teardrops were falling on the floor and on her torn out tennis shoes. I know you're still scared, Annetta, scared that you might get hurt again. I have to tell you that I spoke to your boyfriend. That's how I finally found you. He has admitted to have taken part in your kidnapping. Annetta didn't answer right away. He helped me escape too. Annetta, do you know that your parents paid the ransom? Annetta looked up through her tears, visibly surprised. That's not true. I don't believe you. Your parents sacrificed almost everything they had just to find you and know what had happened to you. When everyone else had given up, they were the only ones left who wouldn't let go. They are the ones who convinced me to reopen the case. I can't say how they've fared as parents before that, but they definitely topped many other parents and did some unthinkable feats to find you. Annetta kept shaking her head in disbelief. They were really great parents. I remember so many things like... She whispered as if talking to herself, remembering her life so long ago. Outside, the rain had toned down into light drizzle. Joe Malone got up and extended a hand to her. Annetta, it's time to go back home. Let's go. She looked up and stared at that hand he was offering, and finally took it, helping her get up and walk her first step into another life, her life, the one she used to have before and had lost just for a lapse in time. Just a lapse in time. A few days later, Joe Malone stood there watching her hug and being hugged by her mother, father, sister, and brother amid tears and laughs, and he wondered what it felt like to have a family like that, one who would give anything for their child. His mind was wandering, thinking with a smile that it indeed would be nice to have a family, who would give anything for him. I guess that would be something. Sometimes I wish I had one too. You had one of what? Joe Malone woke up from his trance as Annetta gave him a big hug. Thank you. My pleasure. After all, it's my job. This was originally published in Bharat Times issue of October November 2004 and written by Manas Leoto. And now it's part of the book Manas's Tales and Thrillers, a book of captivating short stories. Find it on Amazon. Till next time.